Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're listening to the Dr. Laurie Davis Show here on Thursday, July 27th. Where did July go? Oh, my goodness. We're streaming live right now on E360 TV, our Facebook page, Self Worth the Missing Link, and also YouTube. And all you have to do is search Laurie Davis Show Host, and our YouTube stream will come up. So Thursday we dedicate to authors, books, movies, people in the arts, athletes, celebrities. And I like to think about Thursday's show as being one of inspiration. So inspiring others from the books we read, the movies we watch. I was watching an old movie the other night, Burt Lancaster and Lee Marvin, an old Western, and it was amazing the quotes that came out of there. I wrote a few of them down. But today we're going to talk about a couple of books. The first one, of course, it's about showing up, and the power is in the asking. And I had the privilege of being involved in that particular compilation book. We did talk about it a bit last week, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about it this week. And then also, as a book review, I would love to share one of my favorite books with you by the late Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life. It's like a Bible to me. So we're going to, no disrespect there, but there's some very good stuff in that book. So there's a saying that where we'll be in 5 years will be based on two things. One, the people that we've connected with, the people who are in our lives, and the books we read. So I'm very selective now about the books that I read. I used to read everything: Harlequin romances, self help books, educational books. But now I'm very particular, and I'm more really interested. And we just did a talk about this in a former broadcast this morning, that when we become transparent enough to tell our own stories, not about business or what you know, but about who we are and the journey that we moved through. When we become transparent, that's when we can really connect with other people. But if we're still busy hiding stuff and keeping secrets and not being authentic, then it's very hard for people to understand us, get close to us. And I'm much better now at that than I was back in the day. So, so today we're just getting started and just waiting for my guest, Mary Barnett. She'll be here. I see her already. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I was cleaning
That's
up something and I was like, oh my gosh, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah, no worries. I can always solo it if I have to, Mary. So it's not a problem. Just really happy to have you here. I'm just going to change our frame a little bit. There we go. And
Awesome.
good morning to you. And I
Good
was just
morning to
talking
you.
about, I just said that, where we'll be in 5 years, that'll be about the books we read and the people we connect with. What do you think of
Amen.
that comment? Welcome to the show, Mary.
That's awesome. In fact, I had the book. It's up next. It's out in my other room. I was reading it and I was like, oh, I want to hold up the book, but it's not in
Yeah,
our.
go get it. Go get it. It's
That,
okay.
that's okay. I can remember
Yeah, this is
it.
a very casual show. We do all kinds of stuff here. So
That's
you go
awesome.
get the book because I'd love for you to show it and I'd
Oh,
love to see
okay.
your
So I'll
chapter.
go off
Yeah.
screen and then I'll be right back.
No, no, you just go. You don't
Oh,
have to go off screen.
oh, no, I mean me to go off screen. So it's not
No,
a blank
no,
space.
we'll look at your beautiful brick wall in the back while you're
Well, all
gone.
right. Okay. I
Yeah.
will go grab it then.
Okay. Thank you. Our guest today, Mary Barnett, who was also in the compilation book along with myself and 60 other authors. And we all wrote a chapter about the importance of showing up and the power of asking for what we need. Now that was a novel concept for me because I was very good at answering the call for other people and did what they asked, but when it came to me asking, sometimes I wasn't very good at that, or I didn't ask in the right way to get the results that I wanted. So it became something that I had to learn how to do really fast.
What did
Or
you
I
have
was
to learn how to do really fast?
ask for help.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
why is that so hard, Mary? Why is that so hard for people?
I think it's because there's a little bit of us that is too proud
Hmm.
to ask because we feel like it's a sign of weakness.
Right.
And we feel like we have to know everything and do everything. And, and it's not, nobody is perfect. Nobody has their shiz together all the time. And I think that, and here I'm out of breath, how pathetic.
No, that's all
I'm
right.
like running to
I
get the
should have
book.
given. Oh, you didn't have to run. Take your time.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
that's all
Hold
good.
that up because I gave my last copy away. It's all about showing up, and the power is in the asking. So
Yes.
I want you to open it up to your story, your chapter.
Well, I'd
Because,
love to. Mine is in chapter 2, actually.
wow, you're like right up front there.
I
But
know. I was so
before we
excited.
get to that, why don't you just share a little bit about who you are and what you do and uh,
Sure.
give a little self promotion there because we have not met until today. So
Oh my
over to you.
goodness. Sure. And like, I'm like trying to find it in here because I was trying to read everybody else's stories. So I was like, oh, I must have been like um, dog earing the pages to other people. So I'm in page 30. So I will open that up so I'm prepared. So yes,
Okay.
here's
Look, there you are. There
my
you are.
yay.
What did you call your chapter?
It's called Show Up, Be Bold, and Say Yes,
Okay,
which
so
is nice. And it's because I actually wrote this kind of congruently with I did a Sue talk for Connected Women of Influence. I was invited to be on their stage. And you have to do a 10-minute talk. So it's very short. They go through this like speaker training with, even though I've been speaking for years, um, they had us, whittle down our talk. It's supposed to be at 10 minutes. I think mine went 13 minutes. They allowed me to go a little bit longer, but it was a tribute to my mom, actually, because she taught me to show up, be bold, and say yes. And so it's all about that. So I basically took my speech and just kind of changed it just slightly. So it was kind of cool that it was kind of a double goodness. So
right.
you asked about my business. So I've been in business for 35 years and I'm only 36.
Me too.
That's our story, and we're sticking to it, right?
Right.
Um, and have had a marketing firm since 1988, and I've helped my clients with all forms of marketing. Obviously, the first 20 years were mostly traditional marketing, right? Things like direct mail and corporate like events and oh gosh, everything you could think of. It's so funny. It's like, wow, that's been so long.
Yeah, I
Because we
know.
went to digital. In fact, we started a software division of our company called Brilliant Mobile. Our company is another brilliant idea because everybody needs another brilliant idea, right? So we started
Absolutely.
a division called Brilliant Mobile. In 2007, we introduced it to Kawasaki Motors, and it's a software that helps collect mobile numbers of people who are interested in what you offer. So it's completely permission based. And then it delivers back messaging by text message. So we launched it with Kawasaki. We drove 93,000 new customers to their dealerships and we were off to the races. But of course, we launched it right during a recession. So it was a little rough launching a new product during that time. But I think it's kind of like now, like we're just post pandemic. And so I think it's kind of the same. People are like trying to get up and going and doing that kind of stuff. So I have a lot of flashbacks of that. But we help speakers, authors, coaches, everyone from mom and pop to military grow a list, a database of interested customers, and then help them become loyal by offering them things in a convenient way. Text marketing is 94% instant open rate, so it's incredible. But we also do other forms of marketing. So we help clients with their social marketing, their email marketing, all forms of promotions. That's promotions is kind of my jam, Laurie. Like I love seeing how we can cross promote and create something synergetic that's a win-win. So helping like a corporation partner with a nonprofit and do cross promotional programs and I do a lot of like I have been on a million boards, and it's hard to say. If I should have the word no written on my forehead.
Oh, I see. There's another thing it's hard to do, right? Say no.
Right. Right. Yeah. In fact, I would always jokingly, like every time I would get pregnant, it'd be my excuse to get off a board. So like, oh,
Oh,
but now my children are 21, 25, and 20, almost 29. So I don't have that excuse anymore, but
no, you can't use that anymore, Mary.
I
Sorry.
can't. I can't.
No.
Yes. At
All
least
right.
not ethically.
No.
And I believe in integrity. So,
Yeah.
yeah, anyway, so that's what we do. And I have
Well, cool.
a group on Facebook that's all about marketing innovation. And so, and I'm all about being playful in our marketing and creative. And so we call it the Marketing Innovators Playground. So it's like a collaborative way to share creative ideas, ways to be playful in your marketing that will attract your ideal audience. And I talk a lot about AI. So a lot of people are really kind of scared of it still, but it's such a time saver. And as long as you use your power for good and not evil, it could be a real blessing to you.
Oh, wow. I'd like
Yeah,
to know more about that. All
yeah,
right.
super fun.
Okay. So let's talk about our inspiration, why we chose to step up and accept Robbie's challenge of putting a chapter in the book. What was the decisive factor for you?
Well, Robbie and I have been friends for years. And in fact, I had her speak at a conference that I helped put on for the Corona Chamber, the Women's Leadership Conference. And we were talking all about, the power is in showing up, right? Because when you're putting yourself out there, you never know, right? You are the answer to someone's prayer. And so if you don't put yourself out there and show up, how can that person find you? Right. And so we were talking all about that. So when this came up, she's like, "You have to be a part of it." So I was quite honored to be invited
Yeah.
to be a part of it.
Yes, I was as well,
That's awesome.
for sure. I might be the only Canadian in there. I'm not sure
Oh,
about
is
that.
that where you're from? I was going to ask you. I want to know more about your business actually, because I don't think
Oh,
I've read your chapter yet.
yeah, that's okay. I didn't talk about my business really. I talked about my showing up experiences, but like yourself, I've been in business for 32 years, and
Just a child.
you ju- and I started out as a private training company because my background's education, and I had spent 15 years in the public school system, and then I bailed out to do my own thing.
Oh, wow.
But what I realized was, I did corporate training and sales training and leadership training and all that conventional stuff. But what I recognized was within the frame of working with others in my training programs, I learned three things. One, most people are walking around feeling like there's something wrong with them.
Mm,
And number two, we lack confidence to step out and take a risk. And number three, poor communication skills. So I
right.
decided to do something about that. And
Oh,
I focused on that and I created all my own curriculum, which I could do easily because of my background. So
wow.
now we have a grand total of 800 workshops that we offer in that have been specifically designed to support people with their healing work because personal issues hold us back from being successful.
True.
Learning new ways to do things, new techniques, personal and professional development. So that's what we've been doing for 32 years.
Wow, 800. I am in awe of you. Wow, girl.
And
So
we have products for adults, youth, and young children.
wow. Well, where can I find more about this so I can tell the world about you?
Well, you can talk to me. We can talk business later because I'm
Okay,
interested in talking with you also.
sure.
All
Well, I'm going
right.
to go find your chapter. Maybe I've already read your chapter because a little bit of this sounds
Okay.
familiar.
Well,
I've been,
here's what I'd like to do is I'd love for you to pick a section of your like I think we'll just kind of banter back and forth. And I did this with
okay.
one of our authors last week because I've devoted Thursdays to promoting authors, coaches, people who inspire others. Um, so what we did, we just took turns and we each read a particular section of our story
Okay.
and then back and forth two or three times. How does that sound?
That sounds awesome. And so here you are. Here's your adorable little picture.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I love
And you
it.
notice my title.
It takes guts to leave the ruts. I love it. That is great. Well, I'm definitely going to dog-eared this page so I can. Actually, I
Okay.
think I did. I already had dog-eared this page. That is so cool.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I had started to read it, so that's awesome.
Good. All right. So would you like to read a portion of yours? One particular
Oh,
section of,
actually
yeah,
read it from the book.
yeah,
Okay, because I
yeah,
can
yeah.
remember it, but I will
No,
definitely.
I like you to read what you wrote because we
Okay.
sometimes we write differently than we speak, right?
Oh, interesting. Okay,
Mhm,
cool. Well, like I said, this story was really a tribute to my mom because she
mhm.
was quite the powerhouse, and I always admired her. She was an Energizer bunny for sure. And she always made the world a better place. And I just always admired her. And I was, I lost her in, I think I was 41 and
Oh,
or 42. Um, and I
oh,
was told, in fact, I was telling her, we had the blessing of, after we found out she had cancer, we had 3 months to spend, 100% of our attention and love on her and ask her all the questions. So I really feel lucky in that way, even though I wish I had more time. Of course, we all do with our moms. Um, but what was I going to share with you? I just
well,
lost
she was
my
a
train.
what? She was a change maker, you
She
know.
definitely was a change maker, right? But I was going to say something specifically about that because, so I was trying to ask her all those questions, like, in fact, there's one that's very personal that I didn't include in the story. Because I'm assuming a lot of your listeners are women.
I have adults, youth, and young children, all genders. Yeah.
Okay. So just because of the show, let me share something that's not in the book that I thought was
Okay.
kind of cool on her deathbed. So I asked her, it was probably, oh gosh, probably 3 days before she passed away. And we knew, it was coming. And so I said to her, Mom, I said, I know you're going to be opening your eyes to Jesus soon. What is the first thing you want to do when you get to heaven? And without a hesitation, not a moment, she goes, Oh, to meet my two children, of course. And I'm like, what? And she said, I know they've been waiting up there for me. They've been sitting in the lap of Jesus. And as soon as I go through the pearly gates, I'm going to bend down on one knee and I'm going to put my arms out and they're going to run into my arms and I'm going to hug them and kiss them and get to know them. I mean, they've been waiting up there all these years and I've been looking forward to meeting them. And I was like, I literally was like, what?
What is she talking about?
She goes, the two children that I miscarried. And I was like, oh yeah. Oh, and she was like, so she had miscarried a baby between my first and second sisters, and then one right before me. And she never like harped on it. I mean, she mentioned it. We knew she had lost two children, but she never like said. So I was like literally, and tears are starting to stream down my face. And I said, "Oh my gosh, Mom, like, how long have you been thinking about this?" And she goes, "From the moment I lost them, of course." And I was
Wow.
like, "Oh my gosh." So this was 50 years and like 40 plus, 40 years, because my oldest sister's 12 years older than me. And so there obviously there was 11 years older than me. So 51 years and then 42 years. And I was like, the tears are just pouring down my face. And she goes, and she says, so someday you'll get to meet him too when you join me in heaven. Like, she was
Oh,
just so crystal clear where she was going, what she wanted to do, and it was all focused on her kids. And I was just like, oh my, like, seriously. And I have mentioned that story to friends of mine who have lost children since then, or my friends' children or my nieces and nephews that have happened. And I'm like, you just know from Gloria's mouth to God's ear, like, those babies are waiting for you. They're not gone. They're just waiting for you. And in heaven's time is a blink of the eye. So it'll be like no time has passed, you'll be up there, right? So she saw them as little children, like toddler ages. I don't know why she lost them before they were born. But it was just so
oh,
amazing to me that she had such a confidence in and where she was going, and it was okay because she had that to look forward to. Like, oh my gosh, it was amazing.
wow.
So let me read the first page then.
Okay.
Okay, so The Vietnam War had just ended, and my mom, Gloria Alexander, was reading about the first wave of refugees. They were doctors, lawyers, teachers, and they were going to land in America without any credentials and would be forced to take welfare. She thought that these people needed help. My mom went to the president of a local college to see what could be done. These proud people will need to know how to apply for jobs and citizenships, and they won't accept welfare, she said, because of, by the way, their culture. They're coming from Vietnam, and she knew that would be detrimental to their psyches. He agreed and said, well, you have a teaching credential. Why don't you create a curriculum to help them? And I'll give you a warehouse to teach it in. She hadn't worked since she got married and had 6 kids, but she worried if she didn't do anything or do something, who would? So mom said, yeah, yes, I can do that. So she would always remind me to show up, be bold, and say yes. And that's exactly what she did. I was in elementary school at the time, so during the summer, while my friends were playing in the pool, I was helping my mom turn her dirty, steaming hot warehouse into a functional classroom. And I loved every minute of it. When the students needed to learn how to interview, mom let me hold the giant video camera, which was bigger than me, and I tracked them walking into the room and shaking hands with mom. Afterwards, she privately coached them on firm handshakes and eye contact. The state of California actually asked her to do the same thing for the quote hardcore unemployed, as they called them. These were people that were on generational welfare who couldn't remember anyone in their family ever even having a job. She changed their lives too, because she taught them to look for challenges disguised as opportunities. And it's all because she showed up and said yes. As a Los Angeles Times reporter in 1980s article said, Gloria is an outgoing, dynamic espouser of positive thinking. My mom was quoted to say, enthusiasm is tremendously powerful. I get my students speaking positively and enthusiastically about what they can do and where they want to go in their lives. And it goes on.
Beautiful.
My mom, I didn't know this until years later, that the state of California actually took her curriculum and gave it to all of the junior colleges across the country. So they took her curriculum and basically made it a national program because of the impact. I mean, she would take these people again, nobody in their family had ever had a job. She took them to the barber school for their first professional haircut. She took them to the Goodwill and taught them how to get clothes that matched for interviews. She brought them to the dental school and had their teeth professionally cleaned, and then would show them that they actually had to brush their teeth twice a day. Like these remedial things that we just take for granted because we were raised by, people who that was important to them. These people just didn't have that advantage. And at my mom's funeral, I remember this woman walked up to me in the receiving line, as people come up and say they're, oh, I'm so sorry,
Yeah,
mom.
right.
And this woman came and she looked a little familiar. And I was like, I know we've met before, but I don't know your name. I'm Mary. And she goes, oh, well, I don't know if you've ever personally met me, but I've been sending your family Christmas cards every year for the last, I don't know, 20, 30 years. And I said, that could be why my mom would always plaster all of her Christmas cards up on the refrigerator and the walls and everything. And I said, where did you know my mom from? She goes, oh, I was one of her students, one of her first students, actually. And I was like, oh, I said, oh, that's so nice. She loved her students. And she goes, oh, your mom changed my life. Your mom's the reason that I have a career, a marriage, children. She says, your mom is the first person that told me I was smart and beautiful.
Oh,
And I
wow.
said, what? And she goes, I only heard I was dumb and stupid. No, she goes, I was told I was ugly and stupid my entire life. She goes, when I met your mother, she said, roll your shoulders back, smile, look me in the eye, because you're beautiful and you're smart. And she was like totally shocked. And she said, your mom taught me how to wear heels and walk in a dress. She said, so I attracted my husband. She taught me the values of throwing like wisdom and positivity. And so I had beautiful children who love me and I love them. She says, I changed my family's legacy because of your mom. And I was like, what? I was just like, I mean, I knew what she did where I witnessed it, but to hear it from a complete stranger was just like, oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Well, we
so,
don't I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. I was gonna say so the book basically goes through my entire life of ways my mom taught me lessons and how I applied them.
Oh,
Um,
beautiful. That was a nice approach.
yeah,
Yeah, different
yeah,
angle.
yeah.
Um, Sylvia is here. Sylvia lives in Niagara Falls, Canada, one of my colleagues. She's also an accomplished author. I've had her on the show a few times. And she says, beautiful, heart touching story. Mums are amazing. My mom and I were very close and often even bought the same blouses. Oh my gosh. I miss her, but she's happy in heaven also. Thank you,
That's
Sylvia. I'm
awesome.
glad you're here today, my
Hi,
girl.
Sylvia. That's awesome.
Yeah, yes. Actually, Sylvia is going to come to the west. I live in Alberta, Canada, which is our bordering state is the great state of Montana. That's the neck of the woods I'm in.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. And Sylvia lives in Niagara Falls, which is just in the central of Canada near the Toronto area.
Okay.
So she's coming out in September, and I have a little retreat center here. So we're going to do a book writers retreat. She's going to come. She's published 20 books. She's been in publishing, and
Wow.
yeah. So we're going to attract some ladies to come and just entrench themselves for 2 or 3 days. And Sylvia will get us all started on a solo book, and we'll have our first chapters done and
That
covers
is
designed.
fantastic.
I know we're so
Wow.
excited to have her.
Wow.
So
Well,
little plug there
that
for
is,
you.
I was gonna say, make sure you share with me so I can promote it
Yes,
for you. In fact, I
yes,
was just sharing with somebody I mastermind with that I've actually been kind of off, and I think we've kept
yes.
rescheduling this because I had surgery 4 weeks ago from yesterday, and praise God, I'm good. Everything is good. But in that time, I have been, trying again not to work. I promised my husband I would lay low because I'm a little bit like my mom, a little bit of a spaz, a little energetic, and a little energizer bunny, and it's very hard for me
Mhm.
just to be.
Me too. Me too.
I could tell.
Yeah.
But something that kept popping up is this book that I outlined, gosh, 5 or 7 years ago, that I just kind of put on the back burner as like a project, and it's a diary or a journal. In fact, I was thinking, I wonder if I had something here, but it's basically my name is Mary, but in the Bible, I relate better with Martha because a Martha's a doer and in the kitchen making everything happen, and Martha is the party girl, right, sitting at the feet of Jesus, saying,
Mhm.
"Oh, you're so good, whatever," and I'm in the kitchen going, "Come on, man, come back here and help me." Anyway, so I came up with the name of the book is or journal is "Hello, God, it's me, Martha." 30 a 31-day devotional for the overcommitted, um, exhausted, and tired woman to transform into relaxed, happy, and anyways, but it has a long little subtitle. Anyways, but it's basically 31 days that you actually
Oh,
can
nice.
journal about that to help you like release the need to do everything, to be everywhere, to do all the things, because that is a struggle for me. And so I outlined it so many years ago, and I think I'm now ready to
Mhm.
finish it
Yeah. Well,
and launch it to the world.
that's actually a self-worth issue,
Yes.
right? Because
Yes.
we have the need to seek approval and please people and make things happen, and that's where we go to looking for our self-worth outside of ourselves instead of
Amen.
making it. And that's our whole gig. That's why I have men, women, children, teens. I actually just two new clients this week. One's 13 and one's 9.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So they're going to
awesome.
come and work with me an hour a week. Yeah. It's great.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Okay.
If you can nip that in the bud when they're young, they won't have to go
Called
through
prevention.
everything.
We're all about prevention. Give me
Right.
the young people, please.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, my dad, I attribute this quote to him, but I don't think he ever technically said it. But devil's hand, what do you say? Idle hands are the devil's workshop.
Yeah, right.
Workshop, I'm
I
sorry.
heard that too. Yeah.
Yes, and because he would never ever let us, because the word in our house, the four-letter word in our house was lazy. And if you're
Mhm.
sitting still, you were lazy, and lazy is bad. And so if we were ever just sitting around the house, he would, "What are you doing?" And I'd have to like come up with something like, "I'm curing cancer," or something, because he would say, "Oh, well, there's weeds under the sticker bushes. I want you to go out there and pick them." or move the wood from the woodshed over to the other side of the fireplace or whatever. And I'm like, can I just be like, I never even questioned that because that wasn't even a possibility. You were busy, 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 or you're worthless, right? That was just not a thing. So when I got married, my husband actually would challenge me. He goes, okay, so we're going to watch this movie and I don't want you to do anything else but hold my hand. I'm like, well, I could be writing thank you notes, or I could be like planning my next week or looking at my calendar. He's like, no, I need you to be okay with it just to be. And I was like, it took me a long time.
Oh, you're going to love us. I can tell. All right. Well, I'm going to read a part of my chapter.
Yay.
Guts to leave the ruts, and
Yes.
I'm going to think I'll share this one because I didn't share this one this week. What I did, I broke it up into 5 personal examples of when I showed up and I
Okay.
asked. So it was directed to me.
Lovely.
So the first time in my life that I showed up that I remember and asked for anything that I can remember was in 1962. I was 12. My dad had lost his big paying job with a steel company he worked for as a payroll clerk and an accountant. The company went bankrupt, and happy to say that it had nothing to do with my dad's brilliant mind or honest character. What happened next was the lack of income, and I could see for the first time my family struggling to put food on the table. Back then, of course, there were no severance packages or compensation, so Dad went on what we called here in Canada unemployment insurance and received $36 every 2 weeks. I decided to ask my dad for a meeting. He agreed, and the next day we sat down and I shared that I wanted to know if he would allow me to help the family. I will admit I was nervous, not knowing what his reaction would be. He was a very proud man, so initially this did not get well received. He had no idea what I had planned, and I proceeded to share my idea to, at the very least, pay for some groceries each week. I could see how much stress that was causing my mom and the other kids in the family. It is a scary feeling not knowing where our next meal might be coming from in any moment. And for the first time, we were experiencing that. We lived on a street that was sprinkled with those wartime prefabricated houses, inhabited mostly with young couples and kids, just like us. Once Dad got over himself, he received my project and became my encourager. So you'll love this part, Mary, because this is the marketing part. We got out some colored paper and crayons, and my dad had exquisite penmanship and created handmade flyers for me to place one in everybody's mailbox up and down my street. The flyer read the following: babysitting, housework, lawn mowing, dog walking, reasonable rates, call Laurie. In case of emergency, parents are nearby at 35 Simon Street. So, in other words, I had backup.
Right.
Dad, being a numbers man, helped me with the pricing, and I was about to launch my first business. Started my first business when I was 12.
Love it.
I've always had a business. Even when I was teaching school, I had a business.
Awesome.
The phone started ringing, and soon I was working every day after school and on weekends. I remember how excited Mom was to now be able to go back to shopping for the good food again and not be worrying about it. Dad helped me to manage the finances, and we were partners from that day forward. All because I showed up and asked for what I wanted to do. That left me feeling proud of myself and my family. And of course, not long after, Dad got a new job, and we were back on our feet and never worrying about anything ever again. He was an excellent provider.
I read your story because when you started reading, I'm like, oh, I love that, and good for you. That is so great. And when I was reading it, I remember thinking, oh, I need to reach out to her. And here you reached out to me to be on the show because my father also lost his job in 1972. So 10 years later, he was an engineer in California, and they all were laid off. And they took their life savings and bought bumper cars as a business. And so we all had to, a family, get in there to help work. So I swept the lot. My brothers fixed the bumper cars. My sister sold tickets. And basically, my father would do drafting, like freelance on the side. And so to get through, because and my mom, they had no money as well. And so my brother went and got a job, brother and sister went and got a job at Kentucky Fried Chicken. And in those days, if there was any chicken left, the employees could take it home. So an extra batch accidentally fell into the fryer every night. And that's, I'm not saying it's not ethical, but that's what happened. And they would
Yeah.
sell as much as they could, but then all the leftovers would be distributed evenly. So I, as a child, I was, 8 years old. I thought it was awesome that we got Kentucky Fried Chicken every night. Like that was so awesome. But my mom told me later that that was really the only food, besides some peanut butter and jelly, that we'd eat during the day at the bumper car lot.
Yeah.
50 cents a ride. There was no insurance. Like people didn't sign a waiver. You just like the goal was to smash each other and they bounce off these giant inner tubes. But the same thing, like I, as a child, my parents, I didn't realize it because I was so much younger than the rest. But everybody in the family pitched in and then we had a fireworks stand in July, and I think that taught you obviously and I both the power of teamwork, helping it, stepping up and helping the family. Like that just proves that, you know, anyone can help. It doesn't matter how old you are, right? That we all can um, be a part of something bigger than ourselves and feel that sense of competence and teamwork to make it, to make
Absolutely.
the dream work.
Absolutely.
So I love your
Absolutely.
story. It was so inspiring. I remember that was like one of the first I read. That's why the ear
Mhm.
thing was dog-eared. I love that.
Mhm. Mhm. All right. Well, we have time. How about one more for mom here? Another
Oh,
section of your book
oh,
that,
sure. Let's see.
yeah,
Let's see. All right.
sounds like an amazing woman.
She was. So it says here, okay, I'll just continue that same thing. It says, my
Okay.
mom is still the voice in my head. And even though things change, history keeps repeating itself. And her words keep ringing true. Thinking back, it's her guiding principles that continue to help me steer the rudder of my life. I didn't really understand that as a child, but as life hit me hard, both personally and professionally, her wisdom continues to speak to me. When I graduated college in 1988, I got a corporate job in marketing, and my main task was to format the company's newsletter the old fashioned way. But I had another brilliant idea, which is the name of my company, by the way.
Right. I
um,
love it.
let's see, where am I? Okay. I brought my wedding present, a little Mac Plus computer, and that's true. My husband and I bought a computer as our wedding gift to each other because we were still in college.
Wonderful.
um, to work each day and proceeded to save a multinational company $10,000 per month by using PageMaker to lay it out digitally. And I was pretty proud of myself. After the third month, my little Mac died. My Mac Plus didn't have an internal fan. In fact, there wasn't even a hard drive. Remember back then, you had the one floppy for the program and one floppy to save it, like 8 megs or something. It was like so little. Anyways, when I asked the VP of marketing to pay the $300 to have it fixed, he refused and said, "It's not our machine." In fact, in that conversation, he repeated that every time I brought up something. But I've saved you this much money, but I want to continue to save you this. It's not our machine. It's not our machine. I was like, okay, Lordy. I said, I protested, but I've already saved you $30,000. Don't you want me to save you 40? I guess he didn't. I left his office feeling defeated. I couldn't believe it. I poured a lot of time into this project, and he didn't even appreciate it. Or me, obviously. But mom would say, God only closes doors when he's about to open a window. The next week, God opened a window. One of my college counselors called my office and asked if I wanted to join the Loaned Executive Program, and my corporate job would pay me to go raise money for the United Way for 3 whole months. I said, heck yes, I can do that. I had a lot of experience with fundraising, and this opportunity heightened my skills and helped me create more professional relationships. As the United Way program was ending, I didn't want to go back to my real job. So one day, as I was leaving my last fundraiser for TRW, the director of marketing asked if I'd consider a consulting gig. I looked around and thought, are you talking to me? But I played it cool, of course, and I said, well, let me check my calendar. And as the elevator doors closed, I started to jump up and down. Well, when I got home, my brilliant husband says, now don't look too eager. Wait a couple hours before you call her back. So when I called, I said, you know what? I think I can make some arrangements and squeeze you in. She told me to come in 2 weeks because I needed to give my notice and bring a contract and a PO and we could get started. And I said, yes, I could do that. But I had no idea what a PO was. So I drove to the local library. Yes, Uncle Google wasn't born yet. And I asked the librarian to use PO as in a sentence. She laughed and handed me a giant book of corporate documents. Anyways, it goes
Wow.
on. But seriously, I was like, sure, like fake it till you make it type thing. And I've always like I do a lot of talks for students and things, and I always say, I like just kind of had to make it up as I went along. But if I had any advice, it would be go to work for a company that you love what they do and you think maybe someday you would like to do that. And don't steal from them, but be the best employee you can be. Learn everything, do the best you can. And if you ever do want to hang your own shingle, they will be so happy to help you and encourage you and push you out into the world because you've been such a stellar team member to them, instead of doing what I did, which literally there was no Google, so I couldn't like say, how do you do this? How do you do that?
No, that's right.
Yeah, I had to interview people that I admired, Go
That's right.
figure.
I know. Exactly. Cool. Thank you for that. That's really great.
Yeah, it was fun.
Mhm.
I can't
Yeah.
believe, like, seriously, like I had no plan, no idea what I was doing. I just kind of went along. In fact, I was
Oh,
sharing
yeah.
I have a show as well, the Brilliant Marketing
Yeah.
with Mary show. And I was just telling a client that when after I finished a couple contracts and I literally had nothing in my pipeline, it was around Halloween time. So I dressed up like a fairy. I put like big wings on and I had a little bag of confetti and little candy bags with my card on it. And I went door to door to corporations and I'd be like, hi, I'm Mary, your marketing fairy, and I'm here to make your dreams come true. And I'd throw confetti and I hand them candy.
Oh,
Do you have
gee.
any upcoming marketing projects that you would like some help with? And people were like, security.
Yeah.
But
That's brilliant. That's
but there
great.
wasn't like I couldn't send an email. I didn't have any addresses to mail thing. Like I was just going through the yellow pages. But you do what you have to do, right? I mean, you know that well, Laurie.
Oh, yes, I sure do. Well, my next memory, and I'm going to do number two because I didn't do this one last week. So I like to,
Okay.
yeah, I didn't do one and two last week. I did some other ones, but my memory number two, the next phase of my life would see me showing up for an appointment with my guidance counselor. I was in grade 9 preparing to enter high school, and we were to be evaluated to see which program would be best suited. There were two ways to go. One was a general curriculum that prepared us to enter sort of a blue collar position, secretarial, hairstylist. And the other was the academic, which prepared us for university. I will never forget that day. I even remember what I was wearing. I had a little lime green Van Lawn sweater set that I was so proud of, and it made me feel like a woman. In the 60s, as a woman, if we wanted to go professional, we became a nurse, a teacher, or a secretary, perhaps. And I thought, because the expectation was to get married and have a family and stay at home to take care of them. And I remember marching down the hallway to enter the office of Miss Brown. As I entered, she had her face looking down on my records, which weren't that great. I was not a high graded student because my mind was outside the box always.
Right.
She immediately advised me that I would be placed in the general program as my marks were not reflective of someone who would make it for higher learning. I was devastated. Secretly, I had hoped one day of having a professional life, like a teacher.
Right.
That way, or excuse me, the way that I retaliated to her review was that I wanted to become an archaeologist. I was a big Agatha Christie fan, and I knew her husband had been an archaeologist. So I wanted to kind of shock this person.
Yeah.
I said, well, I want to become an archaeologist just to get her attention. She looked up at me and she said, well, girls can't be archaeologists.
Oh my goodness.
It was then I realized if I wanted something, I needed to be more vocal. So I asked her what she meant by that. She backpedaled slightly and said that she then supposed girls could be that, I guess, but I certainly did not have the brains or the marks to pull that off either. And I should reconsider the general program to get a job as a secretary. And that's when I learned, I didn't put this in the book, but that's when I learned that my breasts were actually career blockers. And I told her that. I stood up and I let her know that in no way was that acceptable. And I asked that she place me in the academic stream because in the end, I would have more options. After some more discussion, she relented based on my persistence, not on my marks. I also walked away that day realizing, I did put it in the book, that having breasts can be a career blocker. I didn't think I did, but I guess I did. The first day of high school was a joy, and now I am on the path I knew was in my best interest. My experience as a young entrepreneur was beginning to influence my boldness that would prove to be of great benefit further down the road, both in my personal and professional life. Knock and the door shall open. Seek and you will find. Ask and it shall be given. This key to my heart of mine, sung by Jim Reeves and also scriptural. However, there you have it. I never did become an archaeologist. And I actually had a homeroom teacher, grade 10, first year high school, say, you know, you're probably never going to amount to much. Because she had looked at my records, my my
You're
Q
like,
record.
I don't think so. Oh
Yeah,
my
and I
gosh.
went, honey, you have no idea who you're talking to. And
Wow.
I became a teacher.
Wow. You know what? You just made me think when you said archaeologist, there was a show, a movie I saw when I was a little girl. They used to have these summer movie programs, and my mom used to like drop us off with a
Yeah,
sandwich and a
yeah,
bag of pretzels or whatever. And we would stay all day and watch
yeah,
movie after movie. And one
yeah.
of the movies was it was like a sci-fi. And I don't know if you're again, this is really old. It's like in the 70s. But it was about these archaeologists who dug out these giant grasshoppers.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, if you can remember the name of it. I mean, I remember Googling it, trying to see if I could find it. Now I might have, I don't remember. But anyways, when they dug them out, they became alive. Like they were like incubating or something
Yeah.
underground. You remember that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Well, because I'm older than you, so that's when you were a kid.
Maybe by 1 month. Yes.
No, probably a decade at
Be
least.
nice. Stop. Anyways, but I remember thinking, I want to be an archaeologist. But then I saw that movie and I'm like, no, thank you.
No,
I don't
you don't
want
want to
those
be.
big giant
Okay.
grasshoppers to come alive. Well, I have something to tell you. Talk about your boobs being a blocker, type thing. I started our business, and one of our first clients was TRW, and then the second one was Avco Financial. So I always went for the big corporation for some weird reason. Anyways, which was a blessing. But the very first event they hired us to do we did a lot of internal stuff as well as external marketing, and it was a Christmas party, like for their employees. And the only place they had like 1,000 employees, the only place it would fit was a Disneyland hotel. So we of course thought, oh my gosh, it has to be spectacular. So we, changed. It was a around the world theme. So every corner of this giant, literally like 50-foot ceilings, we like covered each corner side by side like this with a backdrop, and that entire corner was like that. Like I think one corner was Germany, another corner was Mexico, right? So it was like around the world. And so then we had food in each corner based on that theme, right? And I said to the staff, I would like this to be a buffet, but I want people to be serving because people will take extra. It's just human nature. Load up your plate. Like if you're at a buffet, right? You load up your plate, right? Because it's just, yeah. Anyways, then so they assured me that they would have people. So it was portion control. There'd be enough food for everybody, right? Well, I guess they tried to make some cutbacks at the end, and they didn't have those servers. So people were just loading it up. So by the time the big wigs, the corporate, head dudes came through the line, there was barely anything. They were like scraping the
Oh,
bottom of
geez.
these buffets, right? And they were very angry, right? And so I remember, like, I was like, I saw this happening. I kept going back, where are your servers? Where are your servers? Through the whole night. And they basically totally failed. And even though most of the people had a great time, I was embarrassed that the big wigs, who again would pay us, were not very happy. And so I started like the process of getting a refund for my clients. And so I finally got the vice president of food service or whatever on the phone. And he was a German man, literally like right off the boat. He had this very heavy accent. And I had met him before, but I remember calling him on the phone. I'm like, hi, this is Mary Barnett with another, went through the whole thing. Anyways, he kept and I didn't understand this because I never was told like because you're a girl you can't do anything. Like that was never like in my world because I was raised by a mom who said you can do anything you want, right? And my dad as well, like go get them, after you clean the weeds out from the sticker bushes, that is. Anyways, so just bringing that back. Anyways, but I remember getting on the phone and he kept being like, "Oh, little Missy,
Oh, yeah.
that won't happen. We can't do this. We can't do this." I'm like, "Excuse me. We paid you this much money. You promised this, and da da da. I would like a $30,000 refund." I mean, literally, we spent like almost $250,000 back in 1989, I think it was. And he kept like talking down to me. He's like, "Well, when you get the man of the company, the head of the company, whatever." I'm like, "I am the head of the company." He's like, "Oh, that's not possible. When you get let me know when you get the," and he kept saying something about a man, but he had such a heavy accent, it was hard for me to understand. But my husband, who actually hadn't even started working for the company yet, like he was still had an outside job and I was running the company, he was overhearing my conversation with them. And so he like was saying, "Let me talk to him." So he picked up the other extension. Remember when we used to have extensions on phones that plugged into the wall?
Mhm.
Remember those days? Anyways,
Oh, yeah.
so he picked up there. So I'm covering the mouthpiece so he can't hear me listening, right? So he gets on the phone and he's like, "Hello, this is Steve Barnett with Alexander." He went through the whole thing. And the gentleman instantly changed his tune. He goes, "Well, hello, Mr. Barnett. I was waiting to talk to you. Blah, 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 blah." And anyways, they went through this whole thing and he said, "Excuse me. Mary's the head of this company, and what she says goes, and we demand you give us a refund for our clients because what you did was wrong, and we have documented proof. We have pictures, and I expect to have a check waiting for her when she walks in the door." And the guy literally was like, "Yes, sir. Yes, Miss Burnett. We want to earn your trust. We like to." Blah, blah. He was like, and I was on the other phone going,
What?
I was like, "Oh my God." I was like so shocked that because I, like you
Oh,
said,
yeah,
at
you're impressed.
rest, I'm like,
Mhm.
"You were listening," because oh my God. I was like, "Ugh." And so Steve's like, "She'll be there within an hour. I expect the check to be cut," like that. That was like, it made
Nice.
me fall in love with my husband all over the place. I'm like, "Oh
Oh,
my
yeah.
gosh."
Yeah, he
Anyway,
had
so
your
I
back.
remember going down there and he drove with me, but he said, "No, I want you to walk in the room." And
Yeah.
so literally we walked up to the door and then left it open. So he was standing in the hall. I walked in. I said, "Hello, Mr. Wiener Schnitzel," whatever his name was. And the guy had a check ready. And I said, "Thank you so much." And I said, "And next time, please don't underestimate a woman business owner because we know what we're doing." Or said something like that, something eloquent in the moment. I don't know what it was. Anyways, I walked out. I'm like, "Oh my God." We were able to hand the client $30,000 for
Awesome.
their trouble. And it was like, and we kept that client for years, years and years
That's
and years. And
great.
we did all of
That's
their
great.
events, all their internal marketing. But I just
You
couldn't believe that someone like, because I'm
Oh,
a
yeah.
girl, what?
Oh, yeah. Things have changed, and I'm glad to see it. But Mary, has this not been the fastest hour of our day? Our
Oh my
time
gosh,
is
yes, it
almost
has.
up. We have like 2 minutes left. And I just want to take that time to thank you so very much for working
My
around our
pleasure.
schedules, both of our
Yes.
schedules, to be
And thank
here.
you so much for promoting this amazing book that
Hmm.
Dr. Robbie Motter did such a great
Yes,
job. Look how big it is.
I know.
It's like a
600
Bible. It's
pages.
huge.
600 pages. Yeah.
And the
So you've
best
been
authors,
listening
obviously.
to my beautiful guest, Mobile Mary Barnett. We'll be in touch. I have some things I need to talk to you about and some
Beautiful.
projects. Um, and you've been listening to the Laurie Davis Show, the Dr. Laurie Davis Show, here on streaming live right now in 3 places: E360 TV. And the show will be archived there, so you can go in there and share it. Also streaming live right now on our Self Worth the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page and also on my YouTube channel, Laurie Davis Show Host. So we have 3 places that we're being broadcast at the moment, more coming. And thank you so much, Mary. It's been a delight meeting you
It's a delight
and
meeting you as
lots of
well.
fun. And let's see what Sylvia has to say. Wonderful stories and experiences, informative show. Thank you. All
Thank
right,
you.
Sylvia, we'll be in touch. We're in touch all the time anyway. So,
I love it.
all right.
All
So,
right.
goodbye, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. And we'll be back on Monday with our VIP show, Voices of Indigenous People.
Bye.
Bye bye.